I feel like the last couple of years you've like purposely picked this fight with the red states. I mean, the DeSantis. Yeah, but I don't want to live in the Civil War country.
I agree with that.
You know what? Well, but you seem like you purposely want to set up this dichotomy between, oh, this is a blue state and that's a red state. And I don't want to live in that country. I like Florida.
I'm with you. And by the way, I like Florida as well. I like all these states.
Bill Maher went after the Democrats hard, and he did not hold back at all. He tore into Gavin Newsom, then spun right around and hit AOC just as hard. All of it live on TV, with the crowd just sitting there with their mouths open. It was not a debate. It was a funny and brutal look at the two people the party is counting on to carry its future. But before we go any further, if you enjoy short commentary videos with full breakdowns like this one, take 2 seconds and hit subscribe. Now let's get right into it.
We have way too many regulations and laws, as we've talked about, and this one I think says if you're a department store with over 500 employees, you have to have a gender-neutral toy department.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, I get it.
So do you think that's silly? Do you think that's a silly thing that we too much government there?
That's an interesting one because the department stores came to us supporting that, and they were the ones making a case for that.
And this part is almost hard to watch. Maher brings up a real California law, the kind that tells a department store how to arrange its toy section, and asks the most basic question any voter could ask. Is this really where the government should be putting its energy? And Newsom cannot say yes. He cannot say no. Let me be straight with you about what that pause actually means. This is the culture war obsession in its purest and most naked form. Just think about what is going on here. Working families are looking at grocery bills that have exploded. Rent is burying an entire generation. People are working 2 jobs and still not making it. And yet the machine behind this movement is burning its energy on symbols, on gestures, on signals, on small fights that most regular people never asked anyone to pick. Critics will tell you these are tiny, harmless rules. But to Maher, they are a window into a way of thinking. And that is exactly why they hit so hard. When you cannot even defend your own priorities out loud, those priorities were never really about the people in the first place.
I mean, this idea that we can't even have a conversation with the other side?
You have to. They won.
Thank you. That's it. Bottom line. And by the way, or the notion we just have to continue to talk to ourselves or we're in the same damn echo chamber. These guys are crushing us. The Democratic brand is toxic right now. We had a high water mark 2 weeks ago, and that was a CNN poll at 29% favorability. It's dropped in the NBC poll down to 27%. It's one thing to make noise, but you also have to make sense. And I think with this podcast and having the opportunity to dialogue with people I disagree with, it's an opportunity to try to find common ground and not take...
And then comes the honest moment that should scare every Democratic strategist in the country. Right there on that stage, Newsom admits the brand is broken, and the numbers back that up in a way that is genuinely hard to ignore. I want you to sit with this for a second. Gallup recorded Democratic Party favorability at 34%, the lowest in the entire history of their tracking, going all the way back to 1992. A CNN poll put it at 29%, a record low. NBC had it at 27%, the worst in their polling since 1990. And here is the part that should be keeping them up at night. More than 1 in 3 Democrats describe their own party as weak and ineffective. That is not the other side talking. That is the party looking in the mirror and calling itself a failure. And Maher's response in that moment is really the whole point. You do not get to lock yourself in a bubble, only talk to the people who already love you, and then act surprised when the rest of the country walks away. For a lot of people on the left, simply having a conversation with someone on the other side now feels like a betrayal. And that right there is the sickness that produced every single one of those numbers.
Many people would say that you are imitating him. You, among all the people who may or may not be running, you're the one who kind of imitates his style with the trolling. You're suing Fox now, I understand. You're suing, that's
well,
right
we're
out
going
of
into discovery. Fox better look to settle right now or apologize for defamation. But
okay, but that sounds exactly like what he does. Suing media?
Different point. Well, then don't defame, don't lie. And Fox is
again,
a
but that does sound like him.
Well, here's the point. I'm trying to put a mirror up to Donald Trump.
Yeah.
and I think it's important, with a sense of humor as well.
This is where Maher does something the rest of the media simply will not do. He looks at Newsom's new game plan, the lawsuits, the trolling, the non-stop media fighting, and he says the quiet part out loud. You are copying the exact man you claim to be protecting us from. And Newsom's answer is that he is just holding up a mirror. Now hear me out on this. That excuse is the entire credibility problem squeezed into one single sentence. Because you cannot spend 10 years telling the country that a certain style of politics is a danger to democracy itself, and then turn around, use that exact same style, and call it smart. To Maher, that is not strategy. That is giving up and just calling it resistance. Critics of Maher will say he is being unfair, that fighting fire with fire is just the reality of politics now. But that argument falls apart the second you remember what these people actually promised. And now, the very people who spent years condemning those punches are the ones throwing them.
The basis for Democratic campaigns has become, we're the smart people. That we know from the get-go. No need to look into that. We know that a priori, which is a Latin phrase the red hat people wouldn't have a clue about.
And this is the line that cuts the deepest, because it calls out the original sin. Maher describes how Democratic campaigns now run on one smug assumption, that they are simply the smart ones, and anyone who disagrees is just too dumb to get it. He even mocks the way that attitude drips down onto everyday working-class Americans wearing red hats. Let me put this to you straight. This is the elite liberal mindset that lost the election, and it is the same mindset that keeps losing them elections. Because nobody, and I mean nobody, votes for the person who talks down to them like they are slow. Even among Democrats and voters who lean Democrat, 45% told Gallup they want the party to move toward the middle. Their own people are begging them to come back down to earth. And that is exactly why every loss gets explained away as the voters being tricked rather than the message being the problem.
I will conclude by saying the reason I'm so mad at the Democrats is because as a voter, the issues that were important to me were democracy and the environment. And now, there's no one to champion or defend either of them because you, with your aggressively anti-common sense agenda and shitty exclusionary attitude, blew it. You lost everything.
And this is where the jokes stop and the real pain starts. This is Maher telling you straight up why he is so angry. The issues he cared about most, democracy, the environment, and in his view there is now nobody left to defend them because the party burned its own credibility with an attitude that drove normal, everyday people away. You lost everything, he says, and he means every word of it. Think about what that loss actually looks like in real life. It is not some abstract idea. It is the voter who agreed with you on climate change, but could not take being lectured anymore. It is the parent who liked your ideas on school funding, but felt completely shut out of decisions about their own children. It is the small business owner who got fed up with being called a bigot just for asking a fair question. Every single one of those people is a vote that walked out the door, and critics will tell you the right stole them, but that is just a comfortable lie people tell themselves to avoid the harder truth.
Partisans are wrong. Moving to the center is the way to win. And Democrats should recognize the party moved too far left on social issues after Obama left office. Gosh, if only someone had been saying that all along.
And now even the people at the top are quietly admitting that Maher was right all along. The postmortems are done. The think tanks have weighed in. The party drifted too far left after Obama. And the reaction from people like Maher is dripping with vindication because he was shouting this from the rooftops for years while they called him a sellout for saying it.
Bernie, AOC, Mandani are not Democrats. They'll be the first to tell you that. They're democratic socialists, and that's a very different thing, and I don't think people know that yet. I don't think people realize we already have a lot of socialism. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, unemployment insurance, food stamps, veterans benefits, Pell Grants, COVID-era payments, farm subsidies, disability payments, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, corporate bailout.
Maher then goes after the faces of the new left directly. Bernie, AOC, Mamdani, and Maher's point is sharp and simple. These are not even Democrats in the traditional sense. They are democratic socialists, and most voters have not fully caught on to that difference yet. Here is why that matters so much. Maher has said flat out that AOC will never connect with people outside the very far left bubble she lives in. That is not a cheap shot. That is a diagnosis.
AOC says so many people in this country hate women. Oh, geez. Even the guy at the party who pulls out a guitar is like, way to ruin the fun.
That moment exposes performative activism for exactly what it is. Maher takes one of AOC's big sweeping claims about how much of the country supposedly hates women, and he pops it with one perfectly aimed joke about the buzzkill at the party. In that one laugh, he captures the whole exhausting machine. The reflex to turn everything into oppression, the instinct to take every gathering, every normal moment, every casual conversation, and twist it into a grievance that needs to be addressed. Critics will say that is just taking injustice seriously, but for millions of regular people, it does not feel like empowerment at all. It feels like getting scolded at a party you just came to enjoy.
And that is what's so odd about this time that we're living in. For all the talk about fighting for the soul of America, nobody seems to like it very much. Too many liberals give the impression that to them, America is just a big, ugh. The red, white, and ew.
And then comes the ending that ties the whole thing together. Maher points at the strangest contradiction of this entire era. All this big talk about fighting for the soul of America, coming from people who act like they do not even like America very much. That little flinch at patriotism, that awkward hesitation about your own flag, your own country, your own home, that right there is the disconnect made loud and clear. And you cannot ask a nation to follow you into battle for a country you cannot even bring yourself to celebrate. So let me tell you what we really just watched. This was a lifelong liberal documenting in real time exactly how a movement talked itself right out of power. The woke obsession that buried the kitchen table issues people actually live with every day. The elite attitude that treated voters like students who kept failing the test. The endless culture war theater, the performative outrage that wears people out more than it fires them up, and the slow, steady drift away from the ordinary Americans who used to be the entire point of the whole project. Newsom fell apart on the regulations. He admitted the brand is toxic, and the record low polling proves he was not exaggerating. He got caught copying the very man he claims to be against. And AOC became the punchline for a style of politics that pushes people away faster than it brings them in. And in the end, Maher won with the one weapon they never saw coming. Plain and simple common sense. So now I want to hear from you. Is Bill Maher the last honest voice left on the American left? Has the Democratic Party lost ordinary voters for good? And can common sense ever survive inside a party this addicted to always being right? Drop your answer in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this breakdown, and subscribe to the channel for more videos. Thanks for watching, and take care.